back with another Living in the City of God video. This one's going to be a little different because I'm going to be getting ready to go out as I film, so it'll give me more time to think about what I want to say, and I'll be editing it so you're not just like watching me be silent. Get ready, don't worry. I left off in chapter 10 in the last one, and there are some things that I want to read to you, particularly the entire chapter 11. So let's get into it. Chapter 11 begins with, "This supreme and true God, with his word and Holy Spirit, which are one with him, this one omnipotent God is the creator and maker of every soul and of every body. All who find their joy in truth and not in mere shadows derive their happiness from him." What makes something a shadow of the real thing? Things that are marketed as your source of happiness, such as elective surgeries that you wouldn't think about getting unless somebody made you feel insecure about something within yourself. That's usually what society does, makes people, especially women, feel insecure about their natural self, and they push all of these products. Now, like I said, I'm about to do my makeup to go out, but makeup is a really big one. Yeah, I know. There's a bunch of birds outside messing with my stormies. Makeup is a really big one that the companies know that the way to make people buy their product is to make them feel like they need it, right? And this can also be said for buying the latest vehicle, or buying the latest phone model, or buying that trending dress or trending outfit, trending shoes. These are all consumer driven products that wouldn't exist if humans weren't easily malleable, right? Because what comes from that place of needing to buy it is an insecure foundation in the things that you already have or already own. So these products, these items, they can be considered shadows of the real source of happiness, the real source of satisfaction that we can only find in our God, in our Creator. And it's really important to recognize when things are shadows, because it allows you to make better decisions, especially with your money. There are things that we buy that at the end of the day are fleeting happiness. We don't actually need them. It's like spending your money on food that you need to cook versus clothes that you just want to add to your collection. One of those things is obviously a shadow, and the other is it's energy. It's a way to take care of your body, which God, of course, wants us to do. Okay, the next thing was, "He made man a rational animal, composed of soul and body. He permitted man to sin, but not with impunity, and he pursued him with his mercy." We are all able to make the right decision. It is the people that try to persuade us to come to the dark side, as you can call it, that often are the reason why we lack integrity in order to keep on the path of righteousness. And what I really want to say with this is that we are animals. We are rational animals. We know deep down what is meant for us and what is going to ultimately be our demise, and yet we find ourselves still trying to hide, right, from God. Like, oh, don't see me do this. You know what I'm saying? Because we understand that God permitted us to sin, right? It's like what I was talking about in the last video, how God sees everything and knows everything. And the reason why sin is possible is because we are sovereign creatures. We are not forced to walk the path of faith. And that's a really That's a pretty cool thing about this world, is how vast it is, and how we ultimately have control over what we do, right? But God always has the final say, because this is his world. He gave men, both good and bad, their being, as he gave being to the rocks. I love that line. We are all the same. We are allowed to just exist and create and manifest and materialize, and it's a pretty amazing thing when you think about how in the grip of, let's say, negative influence, we can find ourselves still searching for the right choice, the healthy choice. He let men share generative life in common with the trees, and the life of the senses with the beasts of the fields, but the life of intelligence only with the angels. We are able to naturally produce, right? Because our God permits us to, just as nature does. Nature's always growing and consuming in order to regenerate. We are also alike with our senses, as St. Augustine said, with the beasts in the field. Think of wild animals and how we can often relate to them on a primitive level, because God created us and them with the same senses, the same primal instincts, the same drives to survive, the drive to eat, the drive to have good shelter, the drive to protect our young, the drive to herd, the drive to find our family, find our collective. Those are because we are common with the animals. And notice how St. Augustine related our intelligence to the angels. When you think about angels, what do you think their ultimate power is? I think it's their ability to create, because they are working alongside the Creator. Now, when I say angels, even when St. Augustine says angels, he doesn't mean primarily good ones. He just means angels in general, angels that work alongside God or have the same similar powers that God has in order to create into this world whatever they are seeking. We too have that same ability. Our intelligence is of the creative mind. So we have the ability to create alongside the angels, alongside the realms of heaven, if you will. The reason why this is so important to understand is because of our tendency as humans to release that responsibility onto the Creator, like that woe is me type of energy, and feeling sorry for oneself. Also, having pity for others is another big one that people don't realize does not serve them, and it certainly doesn't serve the person that they're taking pity on. What is really important to understand when you consider that your intelligence is of the angels is to use it wisely. Use your thinking mind wisely, and don't dwell on things that ultimately don't serve you. And I know that is easier said than done. It's definitely a practice. It is a practice, like with all things. In order to become the master of something, you must diligently practice it every single day for years. I've been practicing mindfulness for years. I started this journey around 2019, and I feel that with every day I become more and more aligned with my true purpose. It didn't happen overnight. Nothing does. The only things that I have found happen overnight are true miracles, because that is God blessing you. But then you can think of your entire life as a miracle. God is constantly blessing you. It's really about your attention to it. Okay, so the next thing from chapter 11 we're going to take a look at is, God is the author of all measure, form, and order, of all size, number, and weight. He is the source of every nature, of whatever sort of condition, of the seed of every form and the form of every seed, and the movement of both seeds and forms. He gave to all flesh its beginning, beauty, health, and power of reproduction, the arrangement of its members, and the general well-being of a balanced whole. To his irrational creatures he gave memory, perception, and appetite, but to his rational creatures he added a mind with intelligence and will. That's exactly what we were talking about how we have primal instincts, right? Appetite, memory, perception, those are all things that we share with the animal kingdom. Yet we also have higher intelligence and will, because of course it takes a certain level of intelligence to be an animal that makes it far in their life. You will not see I shouldn't say that, but you wouldn't see a less intelligent lion survive for as long as one who's quite witty. And I don't know if I'm able to use that word to describe animals, but who's gonna stop me? There's a difference in the lion that makes it to old age versus the lion that is killed in their younger years, and that difference often is attributed to their levels of intelligence and able to use quicker thinking in order to survive. When we think about ourselves as a human race, right, we can often find faults in our history that we just don't agree with. And when we do this, what we are doing is having pity on ourselves as a race. Instead of doing so, remember that God made us completely whole, and God made us complete. And what we are seeing when we look back at history is simply another point on the grid. It's not the entire grid, and it's something to recognize rather than to harp on, if you understand what I'm saying. There is quite a difference in allowing things to be known and allowing things to control. When you act out of fear of the past repeating itself, you are indeed going to repeat yourself. And I know that can be a difficult concept to understand, but when you look at human history, you find that it was all done out of fear. It was all done out of a place of non-goodness, right? But where does that innately come from? The camera overheated. My apologies. Bags under my eyes are a little bit larger than usual. I slept for way too long last night. Way too long. As I was saying, it's really important to not allow the past to dictate what you do in the future. Whether or not you think you're doing it because you've learned from it, understand that it's coming back around to show you that you haven't. That's why you experience things in doubles or triples. It's not so much an opportunity to do better, it's an opportunity to look at your mind frame, your thought forms, and understand why on earth did it manifest. It overheated again. My apologies. So as I was saying, it's the ability to look at your thought forms to figure out why did it materialize for a second or third time. So let's finish chapter 11, and then that'll be the end of the video. He left no part of this creation without its appropriate piece, for in the last and least of all his living things the very entrails are wonderfully ordered, not to mention the beauty of birds' wings, and the flowers of the fields, and the leaves of trees. And above the beauty of sky and earth is that of angels and of man. How then can anyone believe that it was the will of God to exempt from the laws of his providence the rise and fall of political societies? It's always the will of God. at the end of the day, that is what reigns true. Yes, human beings can be destructive, but at the end of the day, God has the final say. Thank you for being here. I love you.